Our work environment, as many of you know, has a mixture of grad student help, undergrad help, hourly support, temporary and permanent staff, professional administrators, and some of you may even have faculty. Our group comes in all ages, experiences, degrees, no degrees, lots of degrees, male, female, etc. We have urban schools, rural schools, medical schools, land-grant universities, private versus public, PUIs, and the list goes on and on. Now, jumping back to NCURA a bit, NCURA's mantra is supporting research together. So part of our discussion on staff development and performance is how well we get along and how we build our chemistry with each other. Because we have so many ages in our profession, we thought it would be important to take a few minutes and discuss the many generations in research administration. For example, in this particular slide that you have in front of you here, multiple generations at work, a couple things jump out at me. As a boomer, that's what I am, or a cusper, which is kind of on that generational edge, I connected to that job security section related to aspiration and that sense of upward mobility. That's the thing that drove me early on. Gen Xers in my office connected more to work-life balance and independence. In fact, some of the discussion I had with my staff the other day, boomers right now are talking about retirement. That's a thing. Gen Xers in my office say they don't really want a house, so they can be flexible. So not one size fits all, nonetheless, but it gives us some sort of framework when we go and we start talking about the activities related to staff development and performance.
I won't say that any of this is surprising. I think it's apparent when you manage a staff that comes from all of these different age groups that their wants, needs, expectations are very different. And so that makes it challenging for things like professional development and training in particular, where the current generation, the Gen 2020 on this slide, has a different way of learning. They have a different way of communication than some of us who are in the boomer generation and sort of rely on email. I find my staff texting each other. They don't want to sit in the classroom for 8 or 10 hours at a time. It's not the way they learn. So those present challenges. And as Dan alluded to, the aspirations are different, and thinking about succession planning is difficult when you have younger generations who are accustomed to changing jobs very frequently. In fact, they expect to change employers and not aspire to stay in the same place for many years, which is what many of us did when we were younger. So it's different populations, different needs, wants, expectations makes it very challenging.
Well, as the only Gen Xer of the group, it's really important to have that work-life balance. And another important aspect is to make sure that for many of the Gen Xers, it's important to have that structure and direction. So as Dan and Pat have indicated, one of the biggest differences that I'm seeing is in technology. So with the Generation X, we really have assimilated to the growing needs of technology, whereas the baby boomers, technology was more of an acquired aspect, whereas now what we're seeing right now with the millennials, technology is integral to the way they do their jobs. So it's trying to balance the work ethic, the technology, and of course the focus.
Great.
In our work life.